Teammates, of course, from the Alps in the Koenig team. Well, the fans are ready to see how Mathieu van der Poel performs. Population of just over 110,000 people here, right up on the Citadel. First built the Citadel in the Middle Ages. Well, he announced his return, didn't he, Van der Poel, with a post on social media with his Lamborghini sports car with a Christmas tree on the top, put his bike on it and roared away. Van der Poel is taking cyclocross to another level, isn't he? There's Lars van der Haar. Everybody is back from training camps. They're ready for the big weekends of this period now where cyclocross is pretty much on every day. About 3 minutes until we get going. Next weekend we have a double header of World Cups, so don't miss out on that. But yeah, everybody is back. There's Van der Poel. Look at the shoes. The World Championship stripes on the shoes on the left-hand side. Little World Championship touches on the socks. And some young fans just enjoying how this race is going to play out. Van der Poel get from the third row of the grid straight to the front. Will he take a little bit of time to get there? Will he ever reach the front? Who knows? Lars van der Haar, front row of the grid. Alongside him, Michael Vanthourenhout, winner last time out, defending champion of the World Cups. Behind them, Tonart. He's had some good results here. In front, Laurens Sweeck in the green and white. Laurens Sweeck, 2 podiums so far. Thibaut Nys, he's the World Cup leader. Just caught a glimpse there in the back of Andrew Strohmeyer. This is Joris Nieuwenhuis. Fast along the grid, aren't we? Niels van der Putte today, 5th last time out. Cameron Mason in the background there. And Ryan Camp, who was 4th last time, had a great race. There's Thibaut Del Grosso, another possible winner of today. And Toon van den Bos. 1 minute till we start. The last gels, everybody getting ready. This is a huge day. No mistakes off the start line are possible because you need to have the feet in the pedals and you need to be strong up this first section. We wait for the start. The lights are red. We wait for green. Underway in Namur. It's go, 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 and right in the middle, Thibaut Nys looks fast. Van der Poel looks quite settled, just letting things go on in front of him. And up the first section is Thibaut Nys in the lead. Cameron Mason has had a better start this week. Michael Vanthourenhout right in the middle with Laurens Sweeck. There's Mason. Actually, Mason's dropped back a little bit here. Yet again, he's done the same thing. Problems for riders. Luca Harter. Mason's starts are not what he wants right now. He's losing distance. Today is better. but not right where he needs to be. Downhill then, Vanthourenhout goes through the picture. They want to try and make Van der Poel struggle a little bit to get to the front wall. A little bit of a problem there. That was Ryan Camp, whose bike was right across the track. Norris Nieuwenhuis, Strohmeyer, another good start from him. The American is having a great start to the season, and already Van der Poel is up there. There is Van der Poel. It's amazing to watch. It seems to have the ability on a cyclo-cross course to just ride a line that no one else is able to ride. Michael Vanthourenhout. Well, Vanthourenhout's had 3 wins in here in Namur, so he's a rider who can definitely win today. Sprinting their way through. Van den Bos on the front for the Krejland Corendon squad. Pushing through the section where the mechanics have been cleaning those bikes. Into the pits for Pim Ronhaar and back out on the other side. Van der Poel currently making his way into the top 10, 11th overall right now. Downhill section. Strohmeyer, the American, in 4th place again this week. So consistent, isn't he? He's up for this. 4th place for the USA rider. There he is going through the picture. Behind him is Nieuwenhuis, then it's the World Cup leader Nace. Behind him is Winston Moysen. Here's Van der Poel. But Vanthourenhout wants to make Mathieu Van der Poel's job as hard as possible. He had that tremendous win last time out when we were in Teralba with that victory ahead of Nieuwenhuis and Sweeck. Must have given him loads of motivation. His first World Cup win of the season. So far, Thabo Nace has won 2, Vanthourenhout's won 1. Vanthourenhout's a European champion, goes through the picture. Vanthourenhout really stamping his way up this section. There's Strohmeyer in that red helmet on the right-hand side. Van der Poel trying to get his way through. And already, Van der Poel is going to be up in 4th place. Just following his way through on the wheel of Strohmeyer. Well, the fact he was 3rd row in the grid has made no difference whatsoever, has it? Oh, and Strohmeyer has a big problem there. Van der Poel found his way through. And Vanthourenhout attacks hard. Van der Poel chasing to get back on. Vanthourenhout really making life difficult. Van den Bos in 2nd place. Van der Poel is there. Oh, and a crash of Thabo Nace into that section. Now the pressure being felt here by a few riders. Cameron Mason on the right-hand side having to sprint his way up there. Michael Vanthourenhout opens up a little bit of a gap into this hard uphill section. He looks round and he's being chased down now. Need fast legs up here. Van der Poel almost rides his way halfway up the hill. He's able to do things that no one else can do. There's Mason coming up to the end of the first lap. Shorter lap, and it's going to be Vanthourenhout from Van der Poel. A 5:52 opening lap. So in the top 10, Michael Vanthourenhout, Mathieu van der Poel, Toon van den Bos, Thibaut Nys, Joris Nieuwenhuis, Amelia Verstringer, Andrew Strohmeyer, Niels van der Putter, Toon Aerts, Witsi Meusen. There's Thibaut Nys, as he said. He's not focused on Mathieu van der Poel's job right now, he's focused on his own race. He needs to come back to Van der Poel because he's in second place and he's just riding away with Michael Vanthourenhout. Van der Poel sprinting uphill. The rest of the group coming round the corner behind. Things all settled down a little bit. The question is, will Van der Poel attack before it all settles down? They are closing the gaps though. Here comes Toon Aerts. Strohmeyer, Mason, Fjord squabbling a little bit, the Spanish champion. Well, it looks like Thibaut Nys coming back up to the wheel of Van der Poel. Before the race, Thibaut was with Sven, his dad, and Nys knows this course so well. How they ride their way up this section. Nice guiding Thibaut Nys around the circuit, giving him some little instruction, a little few tips as to where it might make a difference. Into this rapid section now. Joris Nieuwenhuis just trying to stay there in contention. Number 19 goes through it, Emil Verstringer. He's finished on the podium here before, Emil Verstringer. He was third last year. The speed of these riders down that section. Through this area where there's loads of the fruits trucks and drinks trucks. Toon Aerts get himself there. Toon Aerts has had wonderful results here in Namur. He finished second in 2024. He was second in 2019, second in 2017. He's also finished third place in 2021 and in 2018. Joris Nieuwenhuis has finished on the podium here as well. He's the rider in that dark green and white jersey. In third place he was in 2023. Vanthourenhout has the best record here though. It's Lars van der Haar sprinting his way up the steps. Lars van der Haar's finished on the podium in 2022 behind Michael Vanthourenhout and ahead of Lawrence Swain. We're now getting a group of riders forming. You almost feel like Van der Poel's waiting, don't you, right now? Thibaut Nys goes through in that World Cup leaders jersey in that red and white kit. Van der Poel in a big gear up this section. One thing, as we've said, training for cyclo-cross, it's another thing racing it, but Van der Poel's seemingly able just to get here and be ready. There were talks that he was tired of training at one point. And Mathieu van der Poel said, he's putting a little bit strongly. I really enjoyed training, but I missed competition. I'm really looking forward to getting into cyclo-cross a little bit earlier, a week earlier than he was expected to. Thinks this is a really fun race and he's ready for it. the mix of this, though. This is what it's all about for him. He loves riding on these courses. Vanthourenhout has won here, of course. He won in 2015, 16, 18, 19 and 20. You can slice the atmosphere with a knife in here right now. Van der Poel just adds so much extra spice. Big attack of Thibaut Nace. He's taking the race on. Doesn't make a mistake that time into that section. Got a clean look at it. He's taking the race, why not? Give it a good go, see what happens. There is no room for letting the wheels go around Namur. For Thibaut Nace with Michael Vanthourenhout. Nice combination at the front. Van der Poel in 5th. Trying to find his way up on the outside. Van der Poel wearing number 1. Coming round then to complete our second lap. 4.8 kilometres are completed. A group of riders forms at the front again. It's a 6:43 lap. Little attack nullified. Getting a nice strong group. Cameron Mason is about to make the junction. It's taking him a while to get there, but he's almost there now. We can have a group of around about 12 riders at the head of this race. The commissaires, the judges just doing their deliberation over how many laps. To me it looks like we're going to be doing an 8-lap or 9-lap race probably. Probably 9 laps. We'll wait for confirmation from them. There's Vanthourenhout in the blue, starts his acceleration. Vanthourenhout so far, podium finish in Flaminville in that blue colour of the Gauloise Glowy Lions. Mason, there's the gap. Nice Vanthourenhout, trying to make life hard for everybody. Into this next section where you bump your way over that little curb. Got to be careful you don't get some sort of impact puncture when you get to this little section. It's easy to pick a puncture up in Namur, quite often under the surface, although today's a little bit drier. There are little rocks and it can very easily cause you a puncture. That's Lars Vanthourenhout leading. Fastest lap so far is actually Pim Ronhaar in this group. 22.83 kilometres an hour from Pim Ronhaar. Second fastest lap, Jenti Michaels with 22.83 as well. Just 0.1 of a second down. Then Maes Hendricks, then Tonarts, then Lars Vanthourenhout. So it looks like the tactics of the top riders is to just make this lap as hard as possible, knowing that Van der Poel hasn't been riding cyclo-cross, so the riders who have already drilled as far as the cyclo-cross courses are concerned may feel like they've got a little bit of an advantage if they go at really high speed around here, but Van der Poel tends to ride at a pretty high intensity anyway.
départ incroyable pour le moment, plusieurs coureurs et les conditions climatiques qui sont sans doute pour quelque chose.
Van der Poel's been training in Spain. He's been training actually quite often with Greg Van Avermaet, the former Olympic road champion. Van Avermaet now competing in triathlon. And Van Avermaet said this week, when we're on a run, he would run away from me rather than vice versa. And Van Avermaet saying that he's been riding himself, gravel, quite a half Ironman in Marbella in November. But he was regularly training with Mathieu van der Poel during the November time. They ran together, they rode on the bike, they just sent messages to each other now and then, just to see if they wanted to link some training sessions together. And Van Avermaet said it's still motivating to train together. And he was very impressed with the way Van der Poel, how athletic he is. He said, I think he walked a kilometre at 3 minutes 20. So walked a kilometre, walked, not ran, a kilometre at 3 minutes 20 a few days after I left. They also did a little bit of swimming, but he thinks that Van der Poel could go to triathlon or something after he finishes, because he feels like he's an athlete who can just handle all types of sports. So here's our lead, Michael Vanthourenhout in the white and red from the Klaus Sausen team, Lars van der Haar in the blue, Mathieu van der Poel, Thibaut Nys coming back, little gap back here to Toon Aerts. Then we've got a gap to the riders from the Corendon squads. Back into this little trudge uphill. These fantastic shots, slow motion, just give you such a sense of what this race is all about. Nine-lap race we're going to have. Just coming up to the 19-minute mark. Still not really decided, is it, yet? There's Toon Aerts. Coming round to complete lap number 3. And the group is maintained at the front. Pretty fast lap that time. .23 lap from Lars van der Haar. It's the fastest lap of the race so far. 23.45 kilometers an hour. And Van der Haar had to have a bike change. Not too many bike changes today, but there are one now and then. Del Grosso at the back of this group, the under-23 world champion. Number 19 coming across, Emil Vastringa, yet again Lars van der Haar in his final season, kicks on a little bit more, he's making life difficult for a lot of riders, but it doesn't look like he's making it difficult for Van der Poel, because Van der Poel's decided he wants to be on the second wheel up this climb. And a big sprint going up there. Jenti Michaels leads the group with Joris Nieuwenhuis. The quartet now starting to form at the front. Van der Haar, Van der Poel, Thibaut Nys, Michael Vanthourenhout. Thibaut Nys, the only rider who hasn't been on the podium really here. And Van der Poel looked like he went to the front up the top of that climb. Van der Haar takes over again. So Van der Haar's been on the podium here. Van der Poel has won it numerous times. Vanthourenhout has won it numerous times. Cyclo-cross is an unknown territory. If you'd like to be in touch, please do. @McCrossan is where you can get hold of me on social media. Don't forget to follow @UCI_cycling. Any thoughts, any comments you have, please feel free during the racing. How is this race going to play out? 4 laps into the race so far. Vanthourenhout's gone to the back. Is that a sign of the earlier exertions? He's starting to feel it a little bit now. Van der Poel sprints his way up that section. So hard, isn't it? You are right on your limit. You've got to get off the bike, time it to perfection, sprint your way up those stairs. So hard, this racing. There's so little recovery time. Van der Poel, oh, and a crash of the world champion. Van der Poel hits the deck there. Wow, he just got that line a little bit wrong as he went over the top of that rise, and then the descent just didn't work for him. Hope the bike's okay. Van der Poel now having to sprint. Let's just take a little bit of a look. Oh, and he just caught something going into that turn over the bars. Looks like the bike is okay. Lars van der Haar is going to take full advantage and attack now. And you're allowed to do that. This is Cyclo-cross. Van der Poel right on the limit through that turn then. Coming back now to Emil Vestringer. And they're trying to put the world champion under pressure. He's fighting, and he's fighting hard. Cyclo-cross checks around. Van der Poel is coming back. A little mistake from Cyclo-cross into that turn. Van der Poel already has recovered. He's so impressive. Back into the wheels. It's a quartet at the front here in Namur. There's the cobbled section, little climb section. Van der Poel fastest on lap 4. 4 seconds faster on that little section there. Cyclo-cross attacks. He wants to keep Van der Poel in the red. Knowing that, he's just had that tumble and has had to chase. And this rider's going to have to be out of the way. Commissars will take him out. He's been lapped. Thankfully, he moves across as he should do. Lets the world champion through. Just a few bike lengths behind into this next hard section, and it's interesting the way Van der Poel rides this section sometimes, how far he can get up this hill. Into the bottom of the climb from Vanthourenhout, and coming up is Empty Michaels, Joris Nieuwenhuis. These laps are going fast, aren't they? Coming up to 10 kilometers of racing. The quartet retained at the front. It was a 6:37 lap. They actually slowed down that time. There's Thibaut Del Grosso. He's got a brand new orange Canyon bike. Colours of the Netherlands, I suppose, a Dutch champion. Del Grosso's not that far behind. He's about 17 seconds down right now. Well, we've got a real bike race on our hands right now. On to lap 5. Nice, back on the front again. Fires his way up this climb. And the Poel tucking in at the back. Kind of towers over the rest of the riders in that group, doesn't he? Vanthourenhout. And Vanthourenhout. There's Joris Nieuwenhuis. So sure that that group can get back across. They're about 15 seconds behind, but if the pace goes out of this front group, then there is a chance. Pit's problem for Toonarts. The fans of Cameron Mason, of which I know there are many, he's having not a good day. He's in 20th place right now. Nice attacks, another move from this rider, the World Cup leader. If he beats Mathieu van der Poel here, can you imagine the headlines? He's certainly not holding anything back today. He's making everybody's life hard. Another attack. Always fast. Finds his way around there. He's a lightweight rider, so he does suit the Namur, of course. There's so much climbing on each lap. 2 leaders now. Vanthourenhout comes sliding his way around that corner. Mathieu van der Poel behind. Back onto the steps this time. Look at the way Thibaut Nys has taken this course on. He's flying his way around this lap. Well, we've seen him do this, but not in the presence of Mathieu van der Poel. Van der Poel starts to make a move. Thibaut Nys checks over his shoulder. He's only got Vanthourenhout with him, but now Van der Poel's going to try and close the gap. Decides to overtake Lars van der Haar. Now bear in mind, Van der Haar is a teammate of Thibaut Nys. He's doing a magnificent job, slowing Van der Poel down when he needs to. Van der Poel comes back to the leaders now. It's a trio with a little gap now back to Van der Haar, who is suffering a little bit now. For Vanthourenhout on the front. Thibaut Nys tucks in on the wheel of Van der Poel. Van der Haar dropping away a little bit. Pim Rondehaar. There's Joris Nieuwenhuis. Thibaut Del Grosso. Del Grosso improving. 10th place now for him. The crowd, what, 6 deep on the left-hand side, 5 or 6 deep on the right-hand side. Michael Vanthourenhout attacks. Thiebaut tries to go with Van der Poel. Lars van der Haar hanging on for dear life up. And a problem here for a rider in front. No, that's not good news, is it? What is that rider doing? Now that is not good news at all. Is he okay? That's Vilmar Astrup of Sweden. Like he's got cramp or something, but shouldn't be really there in front of these riders because he had stopped Thiebaut. Not a good moment for a rider to balk the World Cup leader. Poel, look at the bike moving around. And they come up to the end of lap number 5 already. Across the line. 6:33 lap that time. 10 seconds slower than the fastest lap. Van der Haar still has the fastest lap of the race. 4 laps to go. Van der Haar into the pits. It's a clean bike. Goes back onto that pale green coloured bike. I don't know how you describe it. Lars van der Haar having more bike changes than anyone. Michael Vanthourenhout with Van der Poel with the rainbow bands in second place. Van der Poel's taken his glasses off now. Full focus already for the last phase of this race. Van der Poel hauling his way over that section. Vanthourenhout with Emil Vestringer. I would like to get there, be another member of the Baloise Glowy Lions. Another Alps in the Koenig rider here with Thibaut Del Grosso. The Grosso is improving all the time on this course. Maybe just taking him a little bit of time to feel the temptations of being back at World Cup level. Same could be said for Van der Poel, I'm sure. Not easy. Come here and ride right on the limit around the Namur course. Just to walk up here is tiring. Lovely camera shot as we wind our way downhill. Thiebaut choosing to take the inside line, notably through there, on the left, as he went around that corner, straight over the roots. Oh, and Del Grosso crashes and slides. One little mistake and you're on the deck here. Those roots very slidey indeed. Catch them slightly wrong and that's it. It's game over. Through the mud. Nice on the front. Van der Haar still hanging on here. Filling with a shout of another podium in this World Cup in his last World Cup season, Van der Haar. To the steps. He's always a good runner, isn't he? Look at the way he sprints his way up 2 steps at a time. Del Grosso back onto his second orange machine. cost him a little bit because he was in the ascendancy in this race. A bit of an acceleration, bit of a move. Van der Poel looks focused, downhill, down the rooted section. Michael Vanthourenhout round that turn. Here's the 5th and 6th place riders. Only 9 seconds behind right now. The sound of the crowd ringing in their ears as Michael Vanthourenhout goes on another little bit of a move off the front. In fact, now he's had to swing over because Thibaut Naes has decided to attack. The fight for life up this little section. There's Namur looking for a top 6. Lars van der Haar on a yo-yo. Dropped again. Every now and then he comes back. Thibaut Naes believes that Van der Poel is beatable this afternoon. You can sense that. Van der Poel just being clever and conservative with his energy, knowing it's his first cross of this World Cup season. Is he just going to destroy everybody on the last 3 laps or something? Or is he right on his limit? He doesn't look to be. He is making the odd error here and there. Van der Haar brings his way into that section again. Stringer slipping and sliding into that climb. These 3 locked in battle now. So impressive to watch. The top 3 cyclocross riders at the front. Another lap completed, 3 laps of racing to go. 35 lap that time, 2 seconds slower than the lap before. Still the fastest lap is Lars van der Haar on lap number 3. Thibaut Naes decides to take a bike. Nice clean bike for Thibaut Naes, brings his way back into the group. A little problem with those plates, but he kicks the mud out of them, gets his feet back in. And Van der Poel rides a little bit more steadily through this particular area, and Lars van der Haar may well come back into the group again. There he is, just behind in the blue. Thibaut Naes would like that, if possible. Check over his shoulder just to see where his teammate is. And every time they get a Baloise Glowy Lion back, it helps, and Van der Haar knows that, so he's going to attack straight away. That means the other 2 have to chase. Thibaut Naes is able just to stay there. And Sven Naes, the head of this team, the father of Thibaut Naes, has got this team's tactics to perfection. They know that the ultimate win, if they can beat Van der Poel, is huge. Lap 7 of 9. how do these riders outwit Van der Poel in the last couple of laps? That's the question now. They've taken the race to him. He's been there. We haven't seen one of those blockbuster warp attacks from Van der Poel this afternoon. Maybe he doesn't have it in the legs for that because he's come out of a pretty hard training camp. Maybe he's just biding his time. But are we going to see a Van der Poel in full flight around this Namur course? Will it be one of the riders in this quartet who beats him? I'll give Mads Pedersen something to talk about. Pedersen interviewed yesterday and said anyone who's arguing about whether Van der Poel and Pogačar are beatable should just be quiet in a certain way, he said, because they don't see the hours that he's putting in to try and find the 1% to beat them. And he believes that Van der Poel and Pogačar are beatable on the road. Same here in Cyclo-cross. All these riders have to believe that the world champion is beatable, although at times he looks absolutely invincible. Vanthourenhout. The crowd expectant, wondering what's going to happen here. Vanthourenhout takes it on again for the Baloise Glory Lions. His teammate Thibaut Nace having a rest, if it's possible to have a rest. Sitting on the back, relaxing. A chance just to breathe and watch everybody else and work out what the tactics are going to be. For the most of us, as normal humans riding around this course, you would have absolutely no way you'd be thinking. You'd just be concentrating on the job in hand. But somehow, these cyclocross riders have the athletic ability at full flight around a course that's so demanding. They have the ability to think. They have the ability to recover. The ability to take a little bit of a micro rest. The rest of us would be seeing stars right now. Thibaut Nace made a little mistake, and here comes an attack. Van der Poel starts the acceleration and starts to kick away. Thibaut Nace tries to go with him. This is the moment in this race. Van der Poel round that turn, this is where he usually injects even more pain. Vanthourenhout is trying to come back. The world champion takes this race on now. Thibaut Nace can't afford to make a mistake here. If he does, this race goes away. Michael Vanthourenhout hanging on now, trying to get back. Lars van der Haar has been the teammate of the day. Now Van der Poel starts another brutal attack. Now he keeps the pressure on. Whoa, Thibaut Nace, the head is down a little bit. Michael Vanthourenhout slipping and sliding like Bambi up that hill. He loses seconds. Mathieu Van der Poel keeping the pressure on the young rider Thibaut Nace. Now onto this uphill section. Van der Poel shoulders the bike, and Nace needs to get right in on those ankles now. It's go time in Namur. Thibaut Nace checks over his shoulder. They come round, they complete another lap. There are 2 laps of racing to go. Van der Poel has tested them, and he's got rid of 2. A 6:31 lap that time. Van der Haar fighting to come back. 2 laps of racing to go. Vanthourenhout trying to get back to the duo at the front. Van der Poel decides it's time for the pits. Swaps from the gunmetal bike to another white machine. In fact, no, he's got 2 gunmetal bikes. Out now, back onto the wheel of Thabo Nace. Vanthourenhout might well have another opportunity. Nace out the saddle, brings. Van der Poel decides to try and stay there as well. These two, they look like they're on a tandem, they're so close. Vanthourenhout is just a few metres away, and Lars van der Haar wants to try and get back for a podium, or at least to help Thabo Nace one more time. Mathieu van der Poel has dealt with the onslaught of team tactics so far today. Allowed in cyclo-cross, you don't often see it too much, but today you've seen it, and it's worked well for the Baloise Glowy Lions. Thabo Nace kicks again. Van der Poel a little bit slowly around that corner. Thabo Nace jumps away. Big move now from the youngster. Well, he's not worried about the fact that the world champion is behind him, who's won this race on 5 different occasions. Thabo Nace doesn't care. If he wins here in Namur, wow, this is going to be something big. Thabo Nace taking the race on to Mathieu van der Poel. The crowd are going pretty crazy right now. "23 years of age, Thabo Nace. This youthful exuberance of a rider who believes wholly in himself. What a battle. We wanted it to be like this, and we are being treated to some delight. Vanthourenhout hasn't given up yet. Thabo Nace, European champion, 4 wins in World Cups. Nothing like the record of Mathieu van der Poel. There's Lars van der Haar. Bounces his way back onto the bike. Nace, flat out down. Right on the limit. This is where Van der Poel had a problem one lap, went over the handlebars. Nace, being a world champion. Under 23 world champion, European elite champion, European junior champion, European under 23 road race champion. Thabo Nace right now is still making Van der Poel hurt. The battle ensues, the crowd go crazy, and we have got fantastic bike racing on a Sunday afternoon. Along this section with the crowd in this theatre as they cheer these riders on. Up the cobbles now. Lars van der Haar is coming back. Van der Poel, shoulders left, right. Thabo Nace looks like he's in control of this bike race. Wants Van der Poel to do some work. Looks to see where his teammate is. Van der Poel doesn't do any work. Here comes Michael Vanthourenhout. 3 wins in Namur, Michael Vanthourenhout. 5 wins for Mathieu van der Poel. The only other riders who've won here in the last 10 years, Tom Pidcock and Wout van Aert. Van der Poel stays high, kicks his way across. Thabo Nace just slides the back wheel. Still rides that section. I hate to say that he rode it better than Mathieu van der Poel did. That you don't say very often. Well, if you've got friends who like cyclo-cross and they're not watching, get them to watch right now, because this last lap is going to be something else. Listen to the crowd. And they're just shouting, Thibaut, Thibaut, Thibaut. 51 minutes of amazing bike racing in Namur. It is always the cyclo-cross of the season. And right now, it's proving to be the blockbuster of the last few years. Onto the climb, Thibaut Nace. The crowd are sensing something. Is Mathieu van der Poel just waiting and waiting for that moment where he just rips the dreams of all these fans away? We're coming up the last lap. There's going to be 3 riders at the front. It is the 5 times winner, world champion Mathieu van der Poel, the young pretender Thibaut Nace, and Michael Vanthourenhout. Lars van der Haar is about to join them now. This is going to be a last lap blockbuster. It's incredible what we've seen so far. Van der Poel into the pits now. Remounts, brand new bike for the last lap. It was a 6:40 lap, but that's just academic. It doesn't matter how fast they're going round. It's all about who's going to take the win. Michael Vanthourenhout has a second opportunity. Thibaut Nace, he just looks so confident. The World Cup leader. Is he going to do the unthinkable and beat Mathieu van der Poel at his own game? Van der Poel looking for an opportunity on the outside. Vanthourenhout goes. Van der Poel now strikes, goes to the front, but Thibaut Nace gets on the wheel immediately. At the top of the citadel, they are shoulder to shoulder. Thibaut Nace, little micro rest, lets the bike just slide its way through that corner. Van der Poel locked in on the wheel. His eyes firmly focused on the 23-year-old riders. Back wheel around that turn. None of these riders can afford to make a mistake on this last lap. How is this going to play out? Thibaut Nace takes it on again. Downhill. Thibaut Nace stretches the pace. Michael Vanthourenhout, is he going to do the unthinkable? Van der Poel, oh, and Thibaut Nace crashes. He makes the mistake. Now Van der Haar tries to bring him back. Thibaut Nace crashes in that section. Is that over now? Van der Poel tries to put the pressure on. Lars van der Haar sprinting to try and bring Thibaut Nace back into this race now. And Van der Poel now puts the pressure on. He senses this is the moment to win this bike race. Vanthourenhout stays with him. Lars van der Haar, the ultimate teammate, trying to bring the young Thibaut Nace back in. He'd done everything right today. He hadn't made any mistakes, but he's made a mistake at the worst moment in this race. Van der Poel, pressure on now as he goes downhill, slides it through that turn. Michael Vanthourenhout is trying to stay with him. The world champion starts to push. Thiebaud is a bit shaken here. Van der Poel now leans the bike through that turn. No mistakes on that moment. Thiebaud needs to find something. He's really maybe lost this race with his own mistake. Van der Poel sprints flat out up that section. Thiebaud trying to come back. He had the opportunity to beat the world champion here. Vanthourenhout is still there. Thiebaud, he's on his absolute limit. And now Van der Poel really puts him to the sword on the cobbled section. This is the terrain of the world champion. Look at him, all out, flat out. Full gas from Mathieu Van der Poel. Thiebaud, can he get himself back in there? Well, he's gone. The world champion has gone. Round that turn now. He needs to not make a mistake along this section. Oh, he slips and he slides and he leans it over a little bit. But Thiebaud has potentially cost himself the biggest win of his career. He makes a mistake at the end as well. To win cyclocross races, you need to be cool, calm and collected. And this man is ice cool. Van der Poel checks across. Thiebaud still looks strong, but he's lost the seconds that he needed. He took the race on. He showed at moments that Van der Poel was not invincible, but today Van der Poel has just waited and waited. Up this section now, the world champion is opening up his gap. The difference between these riders has been right on the edge of a razor blade. Look at Thiebaud trying desperately to get back there, but I think it's over. Mathieu Van der Poel has been under an onslaught of the Baloise Glowy Lions today, but the world champion is back. Namur for the 6th time, behind him in 2nd place. Thiebaud bangs the handlebars and thanks the crowd. Michael Vanthourenhout and Lars van der Haar. What a race. 9 seconds was the difference. And it all came down to the smallest margins of error. Mathieu Van der Poel, I'll be interested to hear his interview. As Van der Putte comes round the corner in 6th place, Pim Ronhaar in 7th, Joris Nieuwenhuis in 8th. A thrilling bike race to enjoy on a Sunday afternoon. As the riders finish, the crowd greeting the world champion. He waited and waited, and then when he needed to, he struck. He have to admire the way that Thibaut Nace took that on today. He'll be bitterly disappointed, I'm sure. Four riders crossing the line. Just under an hour of racing. And Mathieu van der Poel, first cyclocross back. Top of the podium